We have 2 members of our committee present, Counselor Woods and myself, Counselor Abbott. So we are ready to, let's see, the minutes of our last meeting. Do you have
you
a?
canceled the last one there. So yeah, that was what?
Gosh,
June, or no, that was July.
I can't remember the date. It's been so long. Well, we can put the approval off until next meeting or at the end. So we'll go ahead and hear our 2 zoning cases for today. So Kim, are you going to?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good, thank you.
So we have 2 rezoning cases on today's agenda. The first one is ZAC 2023-7. This is located in the Oxmoor neighborhood. This is an application to change zone district boundaries from MXD, which is our planned mixed use district, to I1, which is our light manufacturing district, for a new office, distribution building, and a fenced outside storage yard. And the application was filed by Mr. Randall Minor on behalf of the owner, the city of Birmingham, for property located at 705 Tom Martin Drive and 801 Lakeshore Parkway. So as I mentioned, the proposed use will be a 30,000 to 40,000 square foot corporate headquarters building for Consolidated Pipe and Supply Company. It will also include approximately 30,000 square feet of a distribution and office building, and approximately 5 acres of a fenced outdoor storage area and accessory parking for the office and the distribution center. The actual piece of property is 28.33 acres of land that's located on the south side of Lakeshore Parkway. It is currently zoned planned mixed use. The property is actually 2 separate tax parcels, so they will have to be resurveyed and combined into a single lot if the rezoning is approved. Property to the north across Lakeshore Parkway is zoned CI1, which is contingency light manufacturing. There is an office building and a warehouse located on that property. Property to the west is the Lakeshore Ridge Apartments that are zoned MXD, the planned mixed use. And then property to the south is the Oxmoor Village subdivision that's zoned MXD, and Evonik Industries and undeveloped land is also to the south, zoned MXD. Property to the east is undeveloped, and it's also zoned for that planned mixed use. The city's long-range land use plan identifies this property as residential low and light industrial. All of the proposed uses would be compatible with the zoning that's requested, the I1 light manufacturing district. The total spaces required for all of the uses on the site, the parking spaces, would be 126. The site plan shows 140, so there are 14 extra spaces on that site plan. The city's landscape architect reviewed the plan, and the conceptual plan does appear to meet all of the city's requirements. However, a more detailed landscaping plan will be required for permitting. The proposed development will need to have a pre-concept meeting with the city's stormwater staff. The plans provided do show a tremendous increase in the impervious area, so discussions will be needed to discuss the provisions that will be taken to control stormwater. Per the provided site plan, the area south of the development, the Oxmoor Village houses, may be partially protected, but there is a potential for impact on the Lakeshore Ridge Apartments to the west and Tom Martin Boulevard, as well as the possibility of impacts on Lakeshore Parkway. An H&H report will be required in addition to all of the usual city stormwater control permits. The Department of Transportation didn't have any comments except that a more detailed site plan showing the driveways and ingress egress will be required for permitting. The applicant did meet with the Oxmoor Neighborhood Association multiple times, and at their June 12th meeting this year, the neighborhood voted to support the rezoning request. They voted 16 in favor and 4 against, and they did provide reasons for their support, and I think they're worth mentioning. Number one, there will only be one entrance and exit from Tom Martin Drive onto Lakeshore Parkway, and all trucks and employees will use that entrance/exit. Number two, the design will curve, making sure that when exiting the property, traffic will turn left onto Tom Martin, and trucks will not be going towards Winona Oxmoor Road. The hours of operation are 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday, and trucks will cease operating around 3:30 p.m. Number four, limited to 5 to 12 trucks only daily. 5, there will be no increase of material other than personnel at this location in the future. Number 6, no noise from the loading of material will exist. 7, wants to be a good neighbor. 8, the visual presentation was awesome. Number 9, the buffer of trees surrounding the property. 10, the showing of the different types of trucks to be used for transport. And 11, consolidated pipe must not deviate or alter what was discussed and viewed at the Oxmoor Valley Neighborhood Meeting on June 12th, 2023. And if you guys have any questions about those, Miss Green is here. She's the neighborhood president for Oxmoor. Since the last update, the Southwest Area Framework Plan has reviewed the project and they do support it. They did meet and provide support for this request. The Zoning Advisory Committee met on July 18th, 2023 and voted 4-0 to recommend approval with the following 2 key conditions. Number 1, the proposed development shall comply with the Oxmoor design guidelines and be approved by the Oxmoor Steering Committee. And number 2, a 50-foot undisturbed buffer shall remain along the west and south property lines as shown on the conceptual plan adjacent to residential uses. And that concludes the staff report.
Thank you. I'll let y'all make your presentation first because I've already come up with a couple of questions, but I want to hear you.
Great. All right,
So
so
what would you like to add beyond what
she did a great job,
Ms. Earl
as usual.
has told us?
Randall Minor, representing the applicant, and as Kim mentioned, the applicant is technically the city of Birmingham. City of Birmingham has a contract with an affiliate of Consolidated Pipe. Sitting next to me is Barry Houghton, who's the CFO of Consolidated Pipe. He's been with the company for almost 30 years, and so he's the person that knows a lot about this project and the operations. I can kind of tell you guys more about just why they picked this site, why they want to be in Birmingham, and all the things they're trying to do to be a good neighbor. I've been working on this for over a year. We met with Ms. Green a long time ago, just to, because I knew this was, potentially a sensitive site, just given other projects that we've done in the neighborhood and, given some of the traffic concerns that others have expressed historically. So it was something that when Barry mentioned that they were interested in this site, I said, well, we got to, talk with Ms. Green, we got to do all the necessary studying to make sure that if y'all are coming here, that it's going to be low impact and y'all are designing it the right way. So it took about a year to come up with something, and so what we presented, and I've got a video that I can show you that really kind of gives you a perspective on what we're actually doing. We've been working on a lot of these projects where the topo is such that, we always say, well, they're not going to see it, but then it's really hard to visualize that. So they actually, at Ms. Green's suggestion, have the architects model everything. And so I've got a quick video, and I defer to you guys about how you want me to do it. I can just, put my laptop over here and play. It's about 2.5 minutes. if you want to see it, or
You
you
okay
can
with
wait
that?
until the full council.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, all right.
Counselor Woods is young and I have new glasses, so it'll all work out.
I do think it's important for you guys to see this because it puts in perspective the elevation. If you're familiar with that property, it is a massive mountain that runs down the center of it, which is probably why it's never been developed. And it's been quite civil engineering challenge to figure out how we could even do it.
So you're gonna see this video, and then, you know, I know you both do all your homework, so go back and, like, once you see this, go and look at the site. You'll see how topo challenge it is, but this is Lakeshore, this is Tom Martin, and then I'm just gonna press play, and it runs for about a little bit under 3 minutes. And, you know, obviously this is the HQ building, and the site plan, you can kind of see the rest of it, but the HQ building would be, you know, at that corner. And this is obviously rotating around. This is showing you the back part of Oxmoor Village, and then the apartments on Lakeshore, so you can kind of see aerial, and it's going to drop you down to Oxmoor Village. And that 50-foot buffer that Kim was referencing, so those are those trees over there.
It looks like in the map that part of the buffer actually has been turned into grass by the Oxmoor Village. Is that accurate, or is it just a?
Yeah, that's just the computer rendering. But so it is more, there's more actual nature that's not shown there.
But they're over the hill.
Right. And this is the apartments coming down, so you know you can't even see it just the way the topo is inside. And so this is going down Lakeshore, driving towards, you know, John Carroll.
Nice pine trees.
Yeah, yeah, all of them look like that in real life, right?
Yeah, perfect in every way.
And this is turning onto Tom Martin, and so you can kind of see glimpses of the building. And you know what I think, and you know, Barry can speak to it, but if you go to their current campus, their current office building on the campus of Birmingham Southern, it fits into that kind of the natural landscape there. So that's what they're going for. That's part of the reason why they like this site. It had a bunch of trees. It kind of reminded them of where they, you know, are, but also gave them an opportunity that they don't have on the Birmingham Southern campus to, you know, responsibly grow their operations and have enough area for the 9 HQ uses that are proposed. And so this is driving up the hill. The road obviously, you know, it'll be smoother than that, but that's, you know, that's the computer modeling. And Barry, we talked about this a lot, but you know, y'all haven't finalized the skin for the building, but what's presented here is roughly what you guys
Yeah,
are
it's very
thinking.
close, very close. It'll be a lot of glass. We're trying to develop something that will hopefully transcend time, and 25 years from now, it still looks good and not dated. So we will probably use a lot of glass on the outside of the building.
Yeah, and we had, we'll plan to have, and you know, obviously, we're gonna be within the parameters that are normally established for meetings, but the project architect, you know, that put this together, you know, he does a better job of, you know, explaining the, you know, the design and some of the, you know, topo challenges, but you got me today.
And it's more than 50 foot buffer in most every area. There's one place where it gets down to 50, but a lot of it is way beyond 50-foot buffer of natural trees there. So, and as the video illustrated, it's quite the mountain ridge that runs just right through the middle of it. And there was a time early on that we thought we're just not gonna be able to do anything with this, and explains why it's still sitting here, because it's a beautiful piece of property on the road and lots of natural trees, but it's going to cost approximately $5 million to cut down enough of that mountain and haul the dirt off, get enough flat area to be able to put the two buildings there. Now, the great thing is, we're gonna leave all the trees, and because of the elevation, no one will hardly know we're there, which is good for us and good for everyone, so. And that's what we kinda wanted. I mean, very few people know that our corporate office is on the campus of Birmingham Southern College, in the back by the football field, up in the woods there. Probably very few people realize we're even there, which we actually like that. We're not really looking for attention.
Well, that's good. I do think that that was very helpful, because on a piece of paper, everything looks flat.
Yeah.
Counselor Woods, do you have any questions?
Yeah, you answered my question on slope. I guess y'all did your homework on your people, because you heard trees about 15 times.
Yeah.
And so talk a little bit about, I think, the limit on trucks. I think the neighborhood, was that something y'all committed to the neighborhood, or what?
Well, that's actually what we do, and we will move the operation that's currently in industry right now, and we will move it there, the distribution, just for our industrial and utility only, not the steel pipe facility that we have down in the Inslee area, over there near Dodge Transfer Warehouses. That steel pipe is not coming, it stays down there. This will be primarily warehouse and some outside storage of PVC and polyethylene, so it'll be strictly industrial utility distribution center, and we average some days 8 trucks a day, some days we may have 12. And there may be 1 tractor trailer truck a day, maybe 2 that come in and out of there, bringing material in there, and everything else is gonna be on primarily on those AAA Cooper, LTL, Hot Shot, or our company flatbed trucks, not the big tractor trailer trucks. So it's not a high volume distribution center. 40% of our business, we have 70 locations around the United States, and 40% of our business goes direct. We never even touch it. It goes from a manufacturer straight to the job site. So it's not a high volume in and out distribution center like an Amazon or a UPS or something like that. That's just got lots of activity. Ours, that's just not the nature. We will actually load on what we do, warehouse there and ship from there. We will have multiple orders, multiple customers on one truck load on a 26-foot flatbed that will go and drop off. So it's one truck, maybe 6 orders. And so it cuts down on the volume of trucks in and out of there.
And those are, if I recall correctly, those are your employees that drive those
They'll
trucks?
be our employees, and which is great because we can control their route.
Because that was one of the big concerns, was people would, trucks would come and turn right. And
Take the
then-
shortcut
It's-
through the
yeah.
neighborhood.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah,
And that was, I mean, I think I heard that every meeting that we had.
And in the design, exiting the property, it will be turned where it would be nearly impossible for one of those trucks to make that right-hand turn and go up the hill. It's gonna push them to go down Tom Martin to Lake Shore, and then east or west, whatever.
Yeah, and because they're, Consolidated Pipe employees, he can literally, they can tell them, you're not making that right turn, right? That's not part of the route. So, and I've got some I don't know if y'all care about this, but I've got some pictures of the trucks. We showed it to the neighborhoods, that people had some ideas of, they were wanting to see the trucks.
Yeah,
and then,
they're not tractor trailer rigs.
Right, and then an example of what. Right, example of what it looks like. It's not just kind of pipes just strewn all over the place. I mean, it's a, professional.
They are stacked nicely.
Right.
Well, and they're
Do you want to look at
banded
pipes?
and bundled.
Banded, yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so, the thing, and it sounds like y'all are familiar with Consolidated Pipe, but if you can just kind of just briefly describe, I don't think people really, I did not appreciate, you have 70 locations across the country, just the scope of what you guys do, and then what this Birmingham headquarters is gonna do for the company.
And you guys may know more than I realize about Consolidated Pipe, but it's a family-held business founded in Birmingham in 1960, and we are a wholesale distributor of pipe, valves, and fittings, primarily for water, sewer, natural gas. We also have a division that puts special coatings on steel and ductile pipe for oil and gas transmission, special coatings for underground bores with Power Creek coatings and that type thing. We actually have a best in class in the United States for specialty coatings on steel and ductile pipe. We have a fabrication division in Pennsylvania and in Bessemer that fabricates steel beams and piling pipe for roads and bridges and highways and structural for buildings. We have a nuclear division in Trussville that we sell into the nuclear industry, primarily rebar that they use in all their concrete structures that has to meet certain testing and certifications and stamps and all that type to be accepted in the nuclear industry. And then we have a fabrication facilities for polyethylene pipe in Salt Lake City, Fairfield, Idaho, and in Atlanta. So we do a variety of things, but it's primarily all water, sewer, gas, water treatment plants, structural, roads and bridges and highways. So the great thing about our business and the way we have divested the business is no matter who's running the country and what their philosophy is, everybody needs water and sewer, right? So we feel real good of water and sewer and roads and bridges and highways. So our business and the owners say we were just lucky that we got into some good things that have made the company grow stronger. But we have 70 locations. We just added 3 new locations just last week, and we don't go in and buy companies. It's just that model doesn't work for us. It's organic growth. When we find the right people in the right places that want to come on our team, that we make a spot for them. And we had a location in Chesapeake, Virginia, Chantilly, Virginia, and Raleigh, North Carolina that a big corporate group bought out a competitor that had 13 stores and was putting in the big corporate private equity philosophy, and they didn't want to work for that. And they said, hey, can we come work for this family-held business? And so last year, our company topped $1 billion in sales for the first time in the 60-year history of the company, and it's all just a special culture, family, team culture, very very special, and it's helped us to attract a lot of great talent to come be part of it because of the way that the Kerr family does run the business, and so they are low key. They don't like a lot of attention, and that's one of the things that attracted us to that site. Is we looked over Birmingham for 2 years trying to find a site that had a lot of natural area, that was large enough for us to have the corporate office there as well as the Birmingham distribution center there for water, for industrial and utility. We couldn't find many places in the city of Birmingham, and we wanted to stay in Birmingham if at all possible. Found some sites right outside the city, but it wasn't what we were looking for. And then that site over there in Lakeshore, we just feel like it's just right in the center of Birmingham, and it enables us to find the natural area, to stay in access to all the major roadways in that location there, and it just seemed like, and so we have worked really hard to make this site work because it was so expensive to cut that mountain down and move that dirt that the owners in the beginning said, Barry, I don't know how we make sense out of this. Let's just go find another piece of property somewhere. But it's really been one of the owners and one of the sons and myself, we've been so locked in on we got to find a way. This is just the perfect site for us. There's nothing else with all the trees and everything else available of this size in Birmingham. So we've worked real hard, and we hired some of the civil engineers and all Birmingham-based companies. Turner Batson architectural firm, EDG Civil, Bate did all the core samples over there to see what was under the surface, and then Beatty, C.W. Beatty, and then and Russo would do the dirt work. It's all Birmingham-based contractors doing the work for us there. But the company has grown and just committed to staying in Birmingham. I don't know, Randall, if I touched on everything there.
No, the only, I'm saying this, you guys know me, I have a, robust sense of humor, but the thing you just said about Lakeshore being the center of Birmingham. We need to make sure City Council President hears that, right?
But you know, honestly, if you
You'll
look
have
on a
to
map.
save that in your remarks,
yeah, we've gotta
make
save
a
that,
note.
yeah.
But if you look in
You got 9 of them up there, so.
Wow.
But yeah, no, you hit it, everything that I wanted to make sure y'all had heard that directly, from Barry.
Well, the only thing you didn't tell us is that every single one of your employees lives in Birmingham. I mean, that's
Well,
the only thing you haven't said.
An awful lot of them do. And the biggest fear our employees have had concerns over is I-65. Of course, it's a challenge every day, and it's a new adventure every day.
Just tell them to move closer,
Yeah.
closer to work, where they can
Well, or
walk.
just come earlier. I get to work at 6:30, I don't have any trouble. But we've gotten to know the neighbors over there. We've spent a good bit of time just really trying to learn that community and learn that neighborhood, and got to meet Miss Madeline and her team, and been out there a bunch, and we look forward to being a part of that community there. And it's the same way at Birmingham Southern now. I mean, we just donated that $2.5 million building to Birmingham Southern and started paying them rent, just, trying to help them hopefully survive.
They need your help,
Yeah,
so thank you.
and we're actually signed a pledge card to help them as well, on if they can get the commitments from everybody. I will say Daniel Coleman has worked really hard.
He has.
He may or may not be successful, but he will know he gave it all he had to them. And I knew where the office of the president was there, because I've been in there so many times, and went to visit him. I go to that office and the lights are off, he's not there. And he's downstairs in a little bitty closet-like office with a whiteboard and names on there. And I asked him, I said, "You not in your office?" He said, "Barry, I will stay down here until I can work us out of this hole we're in. This is where I need to be." But that's what
It's his war room.
Yeah, it's his war room. But I hope he's successful with that piece. But yeah, we always try to be very supportive of the community we're in there, and actually look forward to partnering with Miss Madeline and that group over there and seeing what we can do to help them.
That sounds good. Counselor Woods, do you have any questions?
No, glad to keep y'all in Birmingham. You survived the neighborhood process with all your limbs intact. They're rough over there. I think you're on good footing, so I'm good.
I think when he committed not to bring traffic, he won everybody's heart. Would you like to say anything, or do you feel the direction that we're going in?
I feel the direction you're going.
Okay, would you like to make a motion?
I move we send this to the full council with affirmative recommendation.
Well, I'll second that. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So we're sending it to the full council with our recommendation for approval, and Kim will tell you when in a few days.
Yep, thank you.
So thank you very much. Now I know why the mayor was smiling so big when he came in here. That big
I
old.
do think Miss Madeline should consider running for public office, though, because everyone knows her.
I've been asked, but I'd rather do something hands-on.
Head on that way, y'all ahead.
What'd he say? What'd you say?
Head on that way, y'all ahead.
Yes. We'll say that out
Well, thank you,
loud.
Barry. Thank you, Barry.
Thank you. Y'all have a good afternoon.
It'll be different for the city council.
Okay. Thank you.
See you. Thank you. See you.
The next zoning item on your agenda, you've seen this item before. It's ZAC 2023-3. It was an application to change zone district boundaries from CB1 Contingency Neighborhood Business District to C2 General Commercial District in order to allow for an event center, filed by the owner, Mr. Courtney Jones, who's here with us today, and the address is 6900 2nd Avenue South. So Mr. Jones attended the P&Z meeting that was on June 14th of this year. And at that meeting, because there were some concerned neighbors about the operations of the event center, the committee voted to not recommend the rezoning request to the city council. But since then, I wanted to provide you with an update, and the letters are attached in your packets. Mr. Jones did meet with the concerned citizens at the suggestion of the counselors that were here at that meeting, and they actually did come to an agreement, and they are in support of his rezoning requests now, as long as he does follow the agreement that they all signed. And two of the members of the community that were here at the last meeting were not able to attend today, but they did send me an email this afternoon. This is Mr. and Mrs. Smith, who were here in June, and they support Mr. Jones for the event center as long as he keeps up his end of the agreement. And I believe she had to take her kid, had to pick up her child from first day from school, which is why she couldn't be here. But since there was so much discussion with the community members, and that was a big topic of discussion, we thought it would be prudent for the committee to review those letters and the agreement that they were able to come to before we move this item to the full city council.
Okay, so what did they agree to?
Do you want to go over it?
Yes, yes.
So here's the copies if you need them.
Oh.
Okay, and please state your name and address,
Yes.
just
Yes.
because we have to do minutes.
Yes, ma'am. Courtney Jones, address 6900 2nd Avenue South, Birmingham 35212. And so what we came up with, Ms. Abbott, we wanted to, and it was your, suggestion of you and the city council to come up with an agreement, something that we can use almost for a community space, just more so than just an event center. So something that the whole community can use. So what we came up with was just a few things that we wanted to kind of start with, pilot programs that we wanted to do and kind of grow them. So one of the things that they kind of wanted was a tutoring program for the area, for the school-age kids. Okay, so we're gonna offer a pilot tutoring program for the school-age kids. First Tuesday of each month from 3 to 5, that will be sponsored by the event venue. We will have tutors in there, and the sign-up sheets will be at the monthly community meeting. You can sign your kids up there, and then they can, bring their kids to the to get tutored free of charge, for the whole community. The second thing that we wanted to do, and some of the residents wanted to see, was almost like a healthcare screening. Some of them, just check their medications, check their cholesterol, check their blood pressure, things like that. We're gonna offer that too, free of charge, that the event venue also sponsors. So we're gonna team up with a pharmacist that's gonna come over there quarterly and do that, do that as well.
Okay, can we kind of focus on the things that are pertinent to the rezoning request? Because like the parking, the noise.
Okay,
All
yes,
that,
okay,
because I'm glad that you're gonna help the neighborhood out, but
okay.
that's not part of our decision-making process.
Oh, okay,
We wanna hear about what you're gonna do about the problems of concern, which were that people would be parking in
Right.
front of people's houses, slamming their car
Right.
doors, yelling and
Yes, ma'am.
screaming.
Yes,
And then
ma'am.
the noise of music might come out of the building and
yes,
keep
ma'am.
everybody, so those are the things we
You want
wanna.
to hear? Okay. All right, so to address that, so we pretty much reduced the hours of operation. And so they said, okay, you guys can open, but, at reduced hours.
Okay, so what are the reduced hours?
So it'll be Sunday through Thursday from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. And Fridays and Saturdays, it would just be from 12 to 11 p.m. Secondly, in our lease agreement, as far as when we do have event venues, there will be no parking at all on 2nd Avenue South, which that's pretty much the concerns. Some of the neighbors that were directly across the street had concerns with that, so there will be no parking on 2nd Avenue South. At the last meeting, I think I gave you guys a copy. We've secured off-street parking next door, we have a parking lot that we can use next door that will not affect Second Avenue South. So all of our guests will park on Second Avenue South. I'm sorry, yes, on 69th Street, not Second Avenue South, on 69th Street, and also in the parking lot on 6900, which we have off-street parking lot as well. And next door, we've secured 30 parking spaces on that parking lot as well.
Okay, so you have your own parking lot, and then you've leased an additional parking lot
Next door,
adjacent.
yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And Second Avenue South, so no parking on Second Avenue.
And
At
how,
all.
how will you stop people from parking on Second Avenue?
We so not only it will be in our lease agreement that any tenant or guest of the person who rents the venue, there will be no parking on Second Avenue South, period. But also to enforce it, we will have Birmingham police at every event.
Yeah, because people don't remember what they signed.
Right.
In fact, usually they don't read it.
Right. So that's
Oh.
why. And so, like I told the neighborhood, and they said, okay, as long as Birmingham police is there, police presence is there, that's fine. That's fine with them. So we will have Birmingham police there, directing and making sure that everybody parks in the designated parking areas.
Okay. Okay, and noise. Talk to us about noise.
So our biggest thing with what we want to do with the venue, and we've discussed it with the neighborhood. Most of our things will be, our events will be weddings, things of that nature. Repasses earlier on in the day, so we will have a lot of people coming from funerals, having dinner, leaving. So we're trying to gear it towards the community, of course. Of course, it is an event venue, but we also want it to include the whole neighborhood. And when the other city councilman was here at the last meeting, she suggested that we have like a farmer's market, so the neighborhood can get fresh fruits and vegetables. And that's one of the things that we're going to try to do a quarter. Try to team up with either the Woodlawn Market or a like entity, and have a farmer's market on Saturdays as well. So we're trying to pretty much have everybody in the neighborhood involved, and not just the things that we want to do.
Okay, so back to the noise. How are you going to control, so let's say someone wants to have a 16th birthday party and they've got a band and that band can turn it up and blow it out. How do you keep the noise from bothering people in the neighborhood?
Okay, so our pretty much our business model, we won't have anybody under 25 renting the venue. So we won't have any 16-year-old parties, 21, none of that.
Okay, but mom and daddy are over.
Yeah,
60.
right. Because my parents like to listen to music too. So, they like to go out and have a good time too. So what we'll try to do, we're gonna have sound monitors, control pretty much sound checks to make sure we will have the volume just enough so people in the inside can enjoy it, but not people down the street that can enjoy it too. Just
might not enjoy it.
yeah. So just for the people that are inside of the venue. And we've set up an email address just for the community. So if they have these concerns or they hear those concerns, they have the email address. They have my number. They would have the security person's number. If it's too loud, they can hear it. They can come directly to us, and we'll just turn it down.
Yeah, because the noise ordinance says that you should not be able to hear it 50 feet away from the source.
Yes, ma'am.
And 50 feet is probably the width of your parking lot.
Right. Yes, ma'am. And so yeah, we don't want to blow it out of there where.
Well, we don't want you to,
I don't want
but
to either,
we've
no,
had a
ma'am.
lot of promises made and not kept.
Right.
So, you're, I'm sure, a man of your word, but if you sell your event center, the next guy may not be a man of your word because he's not you.
Right. Well, yeah, that's true. But we, like I said, Ms. Ad, we've been there since 2010. Like I said, in the area right next door, with the veterans home as well. So we're not going anywhere. We pretty much try to be a staple of the community. We've been there. We've seen the transition of the community. So we don't plan on going anywhere.
Counselor Woods, do you have any questions? I know Counselor Tate wanted to be here, but she could not.
Yes, ma'am.
And,
And Ms. Tate was the one who suggested the farmer's market. So, okay, so that's a great idea too. So we're gonna do that as well.
Yeah, try to get a feel for how many people this event center can hold.
I know they have to come out and measure, but I would say maybe 100, maybe 75 to 100.
I guess, and then, Kim or whoever, but, and I guess I missed this, June 14th meeting.
yes, you did.
So you had a unanimous neighborhood vote?
Yes, so I did.
So what, so you had people come to this meeting? Where did the issues arise?
So I think the neighborhood association has a different group, like a lot of the neighborhood associations. That particular group didn't necessarily live across the street from this venue. And so there were, was it four,
Yeah.
four neighbors that live across the street from the proposed location that did attend the P&Z meeting in June. And they were not in attendance at the neighborhood association meeting.
I don't think they got the information about that.
Well, there is no information
The neighborhood
anymore. I
meeting,
mean, we
right.
don't communicate with anyone, so
Right.
nobody.
They also were not at the ZAC meeting. There was no one at the ZAC meeting in opposition to the request.
Yeah, and just to give you a broad overview, Counselor Tate and I were concerned because this is in a residential neighborhood. It's not just near one, it is actually in it. You know, there was a question in our minds of how did commercial ever get in there in the first place, but of course, you know, it's an it's an older neighborhood. So anyway, so the concerns were the people who live in their houses and are there 24/7 who might be disturbed by noise from an event center, because we have had so many complaints about event centers. So you know the drill. You know, they get in there and start acting up, and then the police are supposed to do something. And everything in the city goes back to the police, and the police are short-handed and kind of grumpy. So, you know, we don't want to dump more on them by doing something, you know, that doesn't make sense. So that's where Tate and I were. And so, but they've gone and done some work since then. So now you and I get to decide what we're going to tell the rest of the council.
And just about the building next door. So I have a right next door. So I house, you know, veterans next door. So this particular building was kind of run down. We were getting all kind of animals coming from it. It was just a rundown building that was next to us that we purchased and pretty much brought it back to life. You know, we fixed it up. We did everything to it because it was becoming a nuisance to us and the neighbors. So we wanted to bring something to the community that was once there. So right across the street used to be the old Cascade Plunge. So that was kind of a staple of the neighborhood too. So
No, I mean, I'm a proponent of, you know, filling empty buildings,
Right.
and breathing life in the area, but, I mean, you were in the middle of this kind of weird development, sitting in the middle of this neighborhood like this. You gotta do a lot of work to kind of maintain that bar and that standard. I know this council has a lot quicker trigger on bringing people back in front of the public safety committee.
right.
Taking licenses and things like that.
Yeah.
So, I definitely wouldn't want to initiate that type of situation where we have problems, but I think maintaining the noise and the hours and the parking, those
For
are
sure.
the things, the parking is gonna be an issue. I mean, I get a call from a school where parents dropping off are blocking people's driveways. They're not even parking for the house, but they're blocking driveways.
Wow.
And people leave there, can't come or go. So, I mean, that's kind of, I see some of the concerns there.
Right. And And those are the things that we, talked about as, as the community, as the neighborhood.
Yeah, I can't say I've ever seen such an in-depth, like, I'll just call it a community benefit agreement.
But we must remember this is not a legal agreement.
Yeah, I just can't.
There's no attorney involved.
Yeah.
We wanted to address like I said, all the concerns as the neighbors.
No, I think it goes a long way.
That we
Being
had.
a good community partner. And I'm willing to give entrepreneurs an opportunity, but I think you need to be pretty cognizant of the need to be a good community neighbor.
For sure.
In that area.
For sure, but right next door, I own our house veterans right next door to it. So I've been I have to-
I mean, I think that works. Somebody's already invested in the area, not parachuting in.
Right.
Something somewhere else.
right. And I think that was when we left out. That was one of the they didn't know that it was
Well,
that it
don't
was
matter.
me.
Like,
You're right. They
the
was
thing is
you.
gonna be
Okay.
the
They like
barking,
she's coming in.
the
Right.
barking, the noise.
Right.
And, those are
Yes, sir.
the two things that matter, because they will run you out no matter what you're doing next door. If you keep it open.
That's
at
true.
night and things like that. But I'm good with sending this to the full council. I'll make a motion that we move this to the full council with the positive recommendation.
I'll second that. And then we'll see what happens at the council meeting. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So
Thank you.
we're going to give you your chance. Now, I'm going to be frank with you.
Yes, ma'am.
I have concerns because, once again, every time we approve of an event center near a neighborhood, we hear about it forevermore. I mean, it doesn't seem to go away. And when the gunfire starts, then we take your license and you're gone. But it's the noise and the parking, and it's not just that somebody parks in front of your house. At midnight when they leave, they're out there and they're loud and they're yelling at their friends and slamming their car doors outside these people's homes. Those are the problems.
Yes, ma'am.
So you rent your place to a person, and then you say, no parking on 2nd Avenue South, and they say, yes, sir, and then they invite 50 of their closest friends, and they park anywhere they darn well please. So if you don't really have policemen out there to say, you can't park here, then they're gonna park where they
Yes, ma'am.
want.
Yes, ma'am.
They're gonna leave their car somewhere that they think it's deserving of. So, those are the problems, and I know you'll hear more about this later. So, but we have voted, and we're going to send it to the council with our recommendation and see what happens.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. So you can leave if you want, or you can
And I'm
stay.
gonna
and
stay here for with I'm
Stay
joking.
and
I'm
enjoy the
joking.
atmosphere.
I'm joking.
you know.
I'm joking. Thank y'all. Appreciate it.
Okay. Now, the next item on our agenda is appointments. We voted on our appointments at the last meeting, and I understand that there was some problem with the notice. The notices were not handled properly. I don't really know what the details are. But, so we have to vote again on the people we voted on last week. Y'all haven't heard this?
No,
You all have
I have no.
question mark looks on your
Yeah.
faces like, okay, well, that's my understanding of what happened.
Which appointments were they, Counselor?
Design review and planning commission. So I know for design review, we selected Cheryl Morgan and we selected Doug Hale as the new members. And then we reappointed all the members of design review who wanted to continue to be design review members. And because of this issue with the publication, and I was
We want to reaffirm.
Yeah, I want to reaffirm it, and Daryl says he emailed them.
I'm looking at
You're looking at it?
it. Want me to read it?
Sure.
I move that we reappoint Christopher Swain, Ivan Holloway, Ben Wiseman, Willie Oliver, Abel Barnes, Scott Burnett, Craig Hoskins, Brian Wolf, and Richard Malk, along with 2 new appointees, Cheryl Morgan and Douglas Hale, to the Design Review Committee.
I'll second that because mine won't open. I'm at City Hall. So
All in
you made the
favor?
motion, I second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So this time we're legal. So those are the appointments for design review.
All right,
Planning
move that
Commission.
We appoint Christopher Burks to the Planning Commission.
I'll second that. It has been moved and properly seconded. All in favor say aye. So that passes. So Christopher Burks will be our new person for the Birmingham Planning Commission. And now we have undone whatever errors we may have made in the past, and everything is legal and in order. Now, is there anything from anyone on the staff that you want to say or that we need to know?
I think we still have, is it one
There's
opening?
one opening on the planning
On
commission.
planning commission, and I think we still have one spot. Do we still have one spot on ZBA?
I'd have to double check
I
that.
need to double check. I think
Well, yeah, send me an email and let me
Okay.
know what the situation is.
Okay.
You know, like all the vacancies that we still have, so that we can get people appointed. Because I know we've gotten I haven't made the formal announcement yet, which is required by the city council to announce the vacancies at 2 meetings,
Okay.
and then give a deadline that they have to get their request in. So,
And Dr. Lee said y'all appointed a ZBA person a couple months ago, and I totally missed that. He sent me the resume. We just need to get that on the council agenda, I guess.
well, I'm sitting here trying to think of who that person was.
I can find it.
It's funny that the information that Dr. Lee sent to both of us will open on your phone and not on my phone. That doesn't seem fair.
Might be time to upgrade.
Well, this is a city phone. I don't think I
that-
can upgrade.
We might
Oh,
have
is that
solved
my
it.
problem?
We might have solved some
Oh, okay. I should have brought my
On
own
your city
phone.
phone, some other people gotta read it first.
Okay. Well, I can't remember, but we'll find out from Dr. Lee.
Herbert Bevel, Bevill-E.
Okay, and that's somebody that you didn't have any information on?
I didn't remember it all. He said it was at the March 8th meeting. I know that was a long time ago.
Yeah, well, we'll have to go
If-
back and read our meeting minutes, and it turns out we didn't have any minutes
Yeah, I
to
couldn't find
approve.
it.
The agenda says
So
we have
should we check
minutes.
the minutes before we submit him for city council?
I would.
Okay.
I would always check.
Okay.
I would always check what's official.
And then
before.
do you want us to prepare the resolution for Christopher Burks for planning commission? I think
Yeah, y'all do.
I think Michael usually
Yeah.
does
Yeah.
them. Okay.
I'm sure there's a boilerplate on somebody's
Mhm.
computer, and they
It
just
is.
substitute the name. And
Okay.
boom.
We'll go back and double check the ZBA one, and if he was good and we just zoned out for whatever reason, we'll go ahead and do him at the same time.
Yeah, I remember discussing him, but it has been, a few months, and so much happens around here that
Right.
it becomes a distant memory pretty quickly.
And then we'll let you know any other vacancies.
Yeah, because we want to get all our vacancies filled. There have been so many zoning board of adjustment meetings that they've had to cancel because they didn't have a quorum. So either we need to kick some people off who do not attend on a
They
routine
were sent
basis.
letters,
Yeah, but
and attendance has gotten a little bit better.
yeah,
I wouldn't call it great, but it's been better.
What's your put down, Kim? Feel empowered to.
I
to
wrote, it was
Did you need
interesting writing that
was it strongly
letter.
worded?
Yeah.
It
Was it
was.
strongly?
It had the intro, killing them with kindness, thanking them for their service,
but
and then the little reminder:
Yes.
we can't function without you.
yeah, and you made a
So,
commitment.
you don't-
We could function without you.
We could.
Yeah.
We can.
We
the
can't
city
function without you,
council
but
can
we could
remove you
function
from
without you.
office if
Yes.
they so desire.
we can function with your replacement.
Yes.
Because that is something that we ask all these people, you know, do you have the capacity to attend the meetings at the dates and times when the meetings occur? If you don't, then this isn't the committee for you, and they all say yes, and then they do as they please, but it's gotten embarrassing. I think the pandemic gave people the idea that they didn't have to show up anymore, and that their commitments were not commitments, they were just sort of suggestions. You know, but it's like the Ten Commandments, they're not suggestions. So you gotta show up, because the city of Birmingham looks foolish when applicants come for a meeting and
From
they-
out of town.
Yeah, and they,
And I'm the one that has to tell them,
yeah, like
I'm sorry,
if they flew
they
in,
forgot.
if they flew in from somewhere like California and no one is at the meeting, I mean, that's just mortifying. We have two, I'm trying to remember what the term is.
Supernumerary.
Yeah, supernumeraries.
And that includes
But you
the
have to-
supernumerary.
But you have to tell them that they need to be
I invite
there.
the supernumeraries to every ZBA meeting. I do not distinguish them
Okay, well, we might
between
need,
the regular members
we might
because I
need,
need them.
we might need new supernumeraries too then, because ZBA is the one that, it seems like we get a lot of emails that say the meeting's canceled due to lack of a quorum. Of course, Planning Commission, some of us have attended meetings where we sat there for a half hour, 45 minutes,
And then had
we,
to leave.
and then we went home.
Right.
Where we would have liked to have stayed if the
Mhm.
people who didn't show up. And if you have an accident on the way, that's a good excuse. But if
Right.
you just don't show up and don't tell anybody, or you've told Michael Ward you're coming, and then you don't show up, you know, those people
We are
need,
adults.
yeah, a swift kick. And I guess your letter was the swift kick, and then now we need to watch their attendance and go ahead and disinvite them.
Let's officially adjourn and then we can carry on.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
Move adjournment.
second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyway, we've got to get people who will attend.
And we'll keep you guys
Now let's devise
posted.
our plan to.
If we have a problem with any
Well, it
of
won't be
them
in- it won't be in the
specifically, we'll
minutes.
let you know.
Yeah,
Because you guys will have to be the ones
to